gentlemen, here we go.
What's up again?
Welcome back.
It's good to be back.
Yeah, we said we weren't going to do very frequent, but we've kind of been having fun, and we're just going to keep having fun. So,
Have we done one? When was?
It's been a couple weeks. It's been like 3
Yeah,
weeks.
so technically, last one was January's, right? So this is February's.
Yeah, technically, yeah, that's good. That works. Getting ready for some in-person stuff too. It's gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I'm ready for that. That's gonna be fun.
Looking forward to that.
I'm
CJ's
scared.
CJ's really gonna look forward to it.
No, depending.
It's a secret surprise.
Surprise! So surprise! If you guys don't know, we've decided we're gonna start doing some more in-person, exploratory type videos where we go to places that are reportedly, whatever the case might be, like frequent UFO sightings, aliens, Sam Squanches, whatever the case may be, right?
Haunted.
Yeah.
Haunted.
Just
I will
talking
say-
about it.
That post that you put, CJ, like we got quite a few hits. So
Oh yeah, on.
I mean, we can go check out a lot of those places here around where we live. Also,
actually, they definitely.
we had those Sasquatch feet sent to us
Yeah.
or feet, but
I mean, it might be.
you never know.
Never know. We also had the lights got sent to us as well. The lights. That's gonna be a good one to look into. So I'm probably gonna get in trouble for this, but CJ, after this last week's episode we recorded, we made a post and we said, "Hey, has anybody seen anything that they want to share to us?" And then something came up about some lights. And then we got talking with my wife and got talking around the board. And it turns out that around the same time that a lot of people were seeing the lights in Rover, they saw something weird in the sky too. So I think that's going to be a really cool one for us to look into. I'm really liking this kind of linking it back to where we're from. A lot of this stuff being very
so I said, I didn't realize just how much goes on here. Like I thought we'll get one or two hits, and people will say the same thing over and over. And there's like 200 comments, and almost every one of them was different.
I'm excited. But the theme, the overarching starting point, no telling where it ends up, but the overarching starting point for this week's episode is how the world's going to end.
Tomorrow, actually, probably.
What do you think of the week?
Is Russia ahead of us?
In terms of what?
Of time?
A full day?
Oh yeah. They're about a day.
They're future people. Not much longer.
Yeah. They've it's been a busy week in the Donetsk and the Ukrainian fronts for sure. Belarusian fronts, and there's a lot going on over there that could spark some cascading conflicts. And we talked a little bit last week about like interconnectivity and how we're all linked with each other now via just a mobile device, that we can chat with some dude in Russia. And we've been joking about how, I guess it's kind of links last week's and this week's episodes, about how we're going to know on TikTok that Russia's invading before the news is going to know, because Russia's going to post it.
You can get on there's a subreddit, Russia subreddit, and they're like how most Americans are, like most American service members are, and so they're all gung ho for America, and they're the same way with Russia. They're celebrating like how Crimea, that thing, how that's ours now, like it's that sort of stuff, and they're excited.
Yeah.
And so,
well, see, the big thing this week is there's that Donetsk region of eastern Ukraine, and I don't want to butcher this, but like Lunstar or Lunstek region of eastern Ukraine, the separatists who have been fighting the Ukrainian government in the area have been evacuating all the civilians. They've been putting them all on buses and sending them out of there. So it seems kind of like Russia's going to push in and try to annex those two regions of the Ukraine into Russia. And I don't mean for this to get into geopolitics, but I mean I think that kind of goes into the fact that Ukraine was Russian heartland for a lot of years. You know, that
Up
goes all
until
the way-
wasn't when did that split off? Was it the
when the fall of the Soviet Union in the early '90s. Yeah, and you know they were a very focal point. Well, I mean, even like the Russian Tsardom and the Russian patriarchy and oligarchy comes from Ukraine because it was the Kievan Rus, and those are who founded the Russian Tsardom. So I mean, I'm not saying I understand or I'm sympathetic to Putin's plight, but I do understand kind of why
You gotta-
he's doing.
Yeah, you got to look at it from how they're doing it too, though, right? So
Right.
if they think, as far as I think, what they're thinking is like if they allow this to happen, like if they allow Ukraine to enter NATO,
Mhm.
they've got
United
NATO
Nations.
right at the.
Was it?
Is it you? I thought no. I think it's
No,
NATO.
it's NATO. It's NATO. You're right.
Yeah,
It's NATO. Sorry.
They are essentially surrounded by NATO, and I think he's getting paranoid.
Yeah.
So on and so forth.
but he's
Mm.
also like flexing, saying how they are by far the strongest nuclear country in the entire world, and how they can basically
It doesn't matter. I mean, you could be the strongest.
All it takes
Once
is
a
one.
nuke- once a nuke goes,
They're all going.
yeah, they're all going, and then this happens.
Yeah. And then we
Behind
get
me.
into the situation that we're talking about today,
Yeah,
which is how would you survive it? How do you stay alive? How do you keep going? You know?
I find it like in media and stuff, they always make the apocalypse seem like it's this really cool, awesome
Mhm.
thing. But if nukes started flying right now,
Mm-hmm.
99% of the world would be dead. What, within a week? I mean,
yeah.
I'm talking every high populated city in the entire world
Yep.
will have a nuke right in the center of it. And I'm
Yep.
talking everyone within miles will be dead.
Yep.
So, that thought alone is just, I mean, you can't I can't
Mm-mm.
fathom the thought of that many people dying that quickly.
Yeah.
And then it's also been, like I said, in media, it's also been like romanticized in a way, like
Yeah.
the apocalypse is this really cool, awesome thing. And it is, but here's the thing. It's not going to be Mad Max. It's not going to be Fallout.
No.
Like, I mean, it's going to be people,
It's gonna be feudal Europe.
the survivors
Mhm.
doing everything they can to avoid radiation, which won't be possible.
No, because it's gonna roam.
Yeah, and then wouldn't that not cause an atomic winter? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Whenever that
Nuclear.
nuclear, yeah,
Yep.
nuclear.
Nuclear.
Oh,
winter.
nuclear. Yeah.
Nuclear winter.
But and
Mhm.
and right now we're talking nuclear. So I mean, there's lots of different apocalypses that we can
Right.
discuss. But I mean, a nuclear apocalypse is one of those things that I don't foresee it lasting very long.
No.
And if it does last very long, I mean, the human race, I don't see how
Yeah.
it would actually be possible for anybody to survive it, other than hunkering down in bunkers and living
Right.
underneath the earth.
And
Or going to
The
space.
shelf life on that's very short too. I mean, you're gonna have to be able to survive underground for, 100 years.
At
But- and then-
least.
Yeah, and then most of yours,
I mean,
anything you'd eat, use, whatever, is going to be contaminated.
yeah, completely start from scratch.
I mean, look at Chernobyl.
That's
that
exactly
happened
what I
in
was
the
gonna
80s.
say. Yep.
That happened in the 80s, and we're going on 40 years of that, and it's still,
Yep.
you still cannot go there.
It's,
And
they sealed it
You
with a
can go there.
concrete
No.
bunker.
So you can go.
You can get a guided tour into the vicinity, but you can't stay for more than a certain amount of time because you'll get radiation poisoning.
Because there's people living there though,
Not in Chernobyl.
on the outskirts though, right?
Yeah, I think like the exclusion zone is. Let me look
Because then
up.
I know they have like they talk about there's dogs and animals that live in that area, and they
Yep.
tested like their fur.
do they
and
have
skin.
like 3 heads and
No, they.
two-
I mean, they're
2
perfectly normal.
tails?
So there's a
just
30
think they're-
kilometer zone around Chernobyl that's unoccupied.
I mean, I thought that it was still, like you didn't go there.
No.
And it's also, haunted and a bunch of other stuff.
I have heard that too. There's a lot of. There was some
Yeah.
movie I watched. I don't know, like 10 years ago. It was
Pretty
like
sure
one of those-
there's like a lost footage.
a found footage. Yep, a
movies.
found footage
Yeah.
movie. Yep. And
Yeah,
it's
I
like
never
zombies
watched it.
living in Chernobyl. Yeah.
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 But I mean, like, I love the thought of the apocalypse. Like, I think it's it's just this really,
Pending.
it's just
Yeah.
it's just a really cool thing. But it's been made cool through media. And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
If the apocalypse were to happen right this second, I would be one of the first people in the world to die. Probably because of a heart attack.
Yeah.
So
That's like
I-
that's some of my favorite things is like you see people that buy all this setup, right? They've got these
doomsday preppers.
no, well, people that like just preppers in general, I guess maybe, or like these where they fantasize the government gaining too much power and they're going to go in and they're going to stop it, right?
Right.
They've got their plate carriers, they've got their buckets, they've got all this stuff, right? They spend all this money, they're not MVGs, they're am I calling you out, and all this stuff, and they're like, you're spending all this money to prep and you're going to get taken out by some dude with a $20 30-30, like,
with a Bushnell scope on it from 100 yards away.
yeah, I mean, like all this effort to get ready for it, and some dude's gonna bing, and now he's geared up.
I do love that.
He
I
got
love that-
to- he
I
got
love
the
that
good
whole
loot.
concept.
He
Because
got
that's
the
going to
good loot.
happen, You're going to have people that are completely kitted to the brim, and they're just driving down the road and get swapped by some dude with his grandpa.
You're not gonna know. You're not gonna know. I
Down the
mean,
road.
Here's the thing, though. Like, it's always made and it's always shown like how food shortage is going to be, and like you're not going to be able to find food. But here's the thing: there are millions of canned goods on this planet,
Mhm.
and there aren't going to be millions of people left.
Mhm.
So you're going to be able to find food to eat
Right.
if you somehow survive radiation poisoning and not getting your face melted off by a nuke.
Well, I mean,
So-
what if it's not nuclear?
what if it's
Contagion?
EMP.
it's
COVID?
Bud Light virus?
I
Miller
think
would never do that to me, though.
I think the most the thing that I think is going to actually happen that would cause an apocalypse is an EMP blast that's going to completely knock out electricity around the world and take us back to the Stone Ages. One, if that happens, people everywhere are still going to be alive.
Mhm.
Two, the world will go into absolute chaos
Yep.
because no one is going to know how to function without electricity.
Yep.
No one's going to know how to function without these damn things that I'm holding in my hand. No one's
Cars
going to know
aren't
how
gonna
to.
work.
Nothing's going to work. Banks will be shut down. There'll be no more money moving. There'll be no more. I mean, there's going to be no way for any kind of transportation in terms of bringing food, like truckers being able to deliver any kind of goods. It's going to be absolute chaos, and that is what to me is the scariest in terms of an actual post-apocalyptic situation, because then it's every man for themselves.
Yep.
People are going to start killing each other
Mhm.
because that's when
I mean, when
food-
you get hungry, it's going to happen.
Exactly. Because when you live in a small town like we do, or I
Mm.
do, not necessarily you, Christian, but or me and CJ,
Mhm.
we
My town's
We
bigger
are
than yours.
It is. It is.
Not much.
Just a little bit. But it's gonna, once we run out of food here, and once we start, because this is another conversation I just had with actually a coworker the other day. Like everyone's saying, oh, if the apocalypse happens, or if World War III happens and the supply chains get shut down and food can't be brought, well, we'll just go kill all the animals. Well, how long is animal life going to sustain?
Not long.
You, because I mean, if everyone is killing a deer a day,
Mhm.
like, yeah, we're overpopulated with deer right now, but in a year from now, there won't be any deer left. There won't be any rabbits, squirrels,
Squirrels. Every pond will
turkeys,
be fished out.
Exactly. The rivers will be fished out. And that's the thing. Like, yeah, you can survive that way for a while, and you could forage plants. And
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what plants are safe to eat, not safe to eat. Now,
I got
I
a booklet
probably
somewhere in the
You'll
Well,
find out.
that's-
You'll find
that'll
out pretty
come in
quick.
handy. But that's that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
the food shortage, in terms of like actual getting food, and
Mhm.
which, like I said earlier, there are millions of canned goods around the
Right.
world. So if I had to find a horse and buggy to make it, and we've got them around here with the Amish, I can
We
find
do.
the horse and buggy. I can go to West Plains and maybe,
Get some dog food.
something. I mean, there's going to be food, but
Right.
it's going to eventually,
Run
when
out.
it comes to for canned goods and stuff in small towns like this. But people that live in the cities, I see, that's the thing. Like it's one of those things, like it's really hard to calculate because
So the one thing with us though is we got lucky, right? In our area, there's a lot of cattle,
Mhm.
and theoretically you could survive off of milk.
Well, I mean, on the other side of that, there's no way that farmers are going to be able to maintain as massive a herd as they have now without electric and without feed and without. So they'll be culling in the winters, and they'll cull their herds to survive. So that, I mean, that would create a massive food that they would have to give away. I mean, at least a portion of it. Then you get into down around my area, you have thousands of millions of hundreds of millions of acres of soybeans and rice and just flat field for miles that would be sustainable. However, I think that a lot of it's going to come down to people are going to get desperate before they get smart.
People panic. It's the same. We've seen it already, right? We've
Mhm.
seen it already
with saltine crackers.
with toilet paper.
Yep.
They're running out. You better go buy what you can. And you got
Yep.
people they're going and buying 20 packs
Bulk-
of the
bulk
big
of
rolls.
everything.
Mhm.
Yep.
And you've got someone walking in. It's like, hey, I was embarrassed 2 years ago when I had to go in to the store to buy a small roll of toilet paper because I was like, I don't want people thinking I'm hoarding this crap. But
That's why
You
I
need it.
order all that stuff now. I order all of it now.
Yeah. But see, if an EMP happens, Stone Ages. And that's the thing. If that does happen, then the first thing that's going to happen is mass looting across the board.
Across the board.
Everyone, everywhere will be, I mean, it's gonna be bad. Like
There will be
I
no
mean,
government to stop it either.
well, the government won't be able to function.
No,
Like
I mean,
they won't
it's
be
completely
able to
dependent on
bring in, they won't be able to bring in tanks. They won't be able to bring in any kind of, I mean, it's the world is done. Like if
Yeah.
that happens, the world is done. And I mean, that technology exists, and that to me is where like an apocalyptic situation is the most realistic to happen. Because
Well-
if nukes start flying, the world is done. I
Done.
don't see us coming back at all from that happening.
yeah, I mean,
But-
it doesn't matter. I don't think whether who has the biggest nuclear arsenal
Right.
because
When one
it's over.
flies, they all fly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
But
But-
the scary thing about EMP is that's not only a technological thing. Just this last week, solar flares knocked out 42 of 50 satellites that SpaceX launched that week.
is that
Some
Was that
sort of
last week or the week before?
storm, wasn't it?
It might have been the week solar storm. So
Okay, I was
solar
gonna say if
storm.
that happened again, but even that, so that right there, I've seen people talk about that. Say we need to get off this earth, right? That it time comes, we're able to do that. We
Mhm.
then have to project. Okay, we got all these satellites or all this debris orbiting. Now we've
Mhm.
got a smaller window to skip through, and
Right.
that's
But solar storms can cause EMP like scenarios. If you had a large enough large enough solar storm, one is going to create like increased temperatures and weather issues on Earth, right? A lot of times, whenever you see movies like 2012 or like natural disaster doomsday movies, it all comes back to like solar flares or like polar
The moon
flippage or
crashing
something.
into the earth.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But whenever
They-
you talk about solar flares, just a moderate sized solar flare hit at the right angle can cause an EMP that would wipe out at least the entire side of the earth that was facing the sun at the time.
Yeah.
So I mean it's not like someone has to launch that. That can happen naturally as well.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I think there is it the dome? I don't know.
That's what-
Maybe that wasn't. There's a series I think that something like that happened
See,
where
you was talking about the moon crashing into the earth or whatever reminded me that China had launched a rocket or a satellite, something. I think it's rocket, and it went rogue. And it's 6 days ago. Sorry, 6 days ago, it was about to smash into the moon.
Oh,
what kind of like a nuclear rocket?
I'm just a regular rocket. I'm assuming.
Like a
I don't know.
test?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know if maybe they were. Yeah, because they're. No,
Well, you know,
Russia
Russia
has the
was-
supersonic or hypersonic. Or,
yes.
Which Russia, what was it earlier this week? They were doing their testing as well. And I
Did you
mean,
see that video?
I didn't see it, no.
the
I mean,
Russian crowd. But we also have, don't we have? We have a kind of like I don't know what to call it. Like in Call of Duty, it was the Odin. We have the nukes in the sky.
Oh, yeah.
I think, or
Yeah.
maybe it might be a just a
Well,
missile defense system.
I'm gonna do my best whenever I edit this to add in, starting right about here, the video of the Russian nuclear test that happened this week. Like I've seen all like the old nuclear tests that used to get published, the Pacific, the Bikini Atoll tests, all of that. Saw all those videos, but there was something about the way that Russian video was shot this last week that was just chilling. It was disturbing. It looked. I think CJ actually sent it to me one time. I think.
So one actually they detonated an actual
I don't
nuke?
know if it was nuclear. I don't know that they're allowed to test
Yeah, I
actual
didn't-
nuclear.
Because because all the testing that we did back in the 50s and all that
60s,
like that got outlawed, right? Like I mean, you're
Yes.
not allowed
You're
to
allowed
do that at all.
You're allowed to. You can test the rockets.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
but
you
can't
cannot
test-
actually
you can't
set
actually put a nuke. No.
Yeah.
Well, let me see if I can find that video real quick. You guys keep talking, and I'm gonna see if I can find it.
But with the Russia thing, so they at work we were watching some videos and of the shootouts and stuff that were happening, the car bomb going off, like there was
Mhm.
lots of little things, but
That's I actually
we were also-
yesterday, and I was
we were-
like, Russia might be invading today.
Yeah, we were talking
But-
about. They were like, pretty good chance of Russia's invading Ukraine.
but
right
here's the thing, like that we were talking at work, were those not like false flag stuff
100%.
that like I mean
the-
it's them, I mean it's just freaking
not.
propaganda
No,
is
it's
what
not.
it is.
They would never do that. They would never do such a thing.
Never.
No, that's completely authentic. Mm-mm.
Yeah. So I mean they're wanting war, they're wanting war. And I
It's their s-
mean
they have to do it now because if we let Ukraine into NATO, it becomes a big problem. And we're I don't know if we're getting a little political, but
Well, honestly,
But-
the other side of that is I think that kind of what they want. So Russia stages all these troops on the border, right? They get all of these troops in Belarus, Moldavia, Crimea, and then on the Russian border of Ukraine. They say, hey, we're having these massive military exercises. Just letting you guys know this is completely normal. It's just what's going on. Okay. So they get these exercises going, they get tensions up, and they say, okay, hey, we're taking all these troops out. They post some videos on Facebook of them moving troops, moving tanks back east. But the UN says nothing really moved. Nothing's moved out of there. If anything, they're building more permanent things. But what they've done is now they've created the scenario that they are moving troops away from the border. And then as soon as that happens, these false flag attacks are going to occur. And they're going to say the Ukrainian government is attacking Russian citizens or Russian patriots inside Ukraine. So then it's going to give the Russian government in Moscow the power to go in there and take out the Ukrainian government in those areas that are contested.
It's like, because they don't even consider a Ukrainian government, right? Those people aren't Ukrainian to them.
They don't recognize them. No.
Those are misplaced Russians.
Yes, exactly.
So didn't they, when you said that they were or leaving, didn't they only move like
115,000 or something like that?
Like, I mean,
It's
did they
a lot,
actually retreat?
No, I think
Or
they
They
said they
evacuated
did.
civilians.
No, well, they were saying that they were moving troops from the border, and they said there was 100. I want to say it was like 100,000 troops they moved, and then the next day, it come out that it was like they show no signs of actually like backing down. It does not seem like it's actually any de-escalation. Like this stuff is imminent at any time.
Well, I mean, right now I feel like I think that Putin wants us to think that World War III is about to start. But is it really? And how many times have we been this close or on the verge of World War III?
But we're not. That's the thing, is we won't do anything. We'll blockade some. That's not the right word. Like embargoes and stuff like that. We'll do trades. We'll starve them out basically. But we'll not go to war because we can give our word to Ukraine and say, hey, we will help you with weapons, with tanks, with art gear, stuff like that, but we're not actually going to go in because they're really nothing to us.
Right.
So what about the troops that we already have over there? Like what is their purpose?
So we have none.
I thought we
have
sent
some
like 5,000 over there.
So we've
in
got 'em-
Poland,
We've got them in Poland, Estonia, Romania.
and they'll be on the
Finland.
border between Ukraine and all these other countries, so that they can't advance any further. Because if they advance any further, that's when it becomes our problem.
because it's a NATO.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Right now,
Gotcha.
we're not bound by a treaty to intervene.
No, we're just being nice and giving Russia $80 billion worth of tanks and stuff, basically.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Because we
That's-
keep giving all this. I mean, I saw something that
Like
said-
ISIS 2.0 again? Like
exactly.
yeah.
Like Afghanistan withdrawal. I saw something that said Biden better warn him. He's gonna give him $200 million worth of tanks and helicopters, and when we withdraw out of Ukraine. But it's just stupid. It's just stupid.
I don't know. So I mean, so we're not really actually necessarily on the verge of a nuclear.
No, it's being blown up
Holocaust.
because it's just people being like, Russia, and it.
So the doomsday clock has not moved. The doomsday clock has been at 3 minutes to midnight since I think 2015. If you guys don't know what the doomsday clock is, that is something that is kept by a conglomerate of scientists around the world that figures how close we are to the end of the world or to doomsday. It was first enacted in the 50s, I believe, and it's been kept ever since by an international group of scientists.
Shortly after Japan.
Yeah. I think we are at the lowest it's ever been, but it's been that way since 2015.
What caused it to go down in 2015? Like was there something specific that happened, or
Climate
is
concerns.
just what?
Climate concerns.
Climate concerns.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Which-
So it wasn't.
Which I mean, say what you will about climate change. I know
Right.
that that's a topic that but I mean, that's another scenario that could cause some sort of post-apocalyptic situation if we had,
That's like they're talking about how like the
I'm wrong.
permafrost.
I need
is,
to. I need to. I need to go back and fix something I just said. It actually has moved.
Oh,
So, okay. So we were at 3 minutes in 2015, and we've stayed around 2 minutes, 2017, 2018, due to nuclear related comments. Now in 2020, it dropped to 100 seconds.
that is a. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go off on this, but that
Let's hear
they
it.
oh, we're gonna get flagged. I'm gonna have to apologize. False information. All I'm saying is how convenient 2020. It goes down for the
No.
doomsday.
No, it got worse in 2020.
Yes, the time went
so
down.
are
have
we
less
going
time.
is 0 the end of the clock? Like, I
Yes.
mean, does
Yes.
that mean nuclear?
Yes.
Gotcha.
So
That-
3
that
minutes was
means-
180 seconds, right? So now we're at 100 seconds. So we have a minute and 40 seconds now.
We lost 30
Convenient,
seconds in 2017, 30 seconds in 2018, and 20 seconds in 2020. Now, the 2020, they said the failure of world leaders to deal with the increased threats of nuclear war, such as the end of the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty between the United States and Russia, as well as increased tensions between the U.S. and Iran, pushed the clock back.
No. We talked last time about
Mhm.
propaganda,
Yep.
keeping people fearful, scared. I don't know how many people actually knew about this doomsday clock. I've heard of it before.
You all just taught me something. I mean,
I've
I've
heard
heard
about it
of the
before.
doomsday clock
Mhm.
from Watchmen.
But how convenient that
Yep.
during this time, right? I'm not to be on one side of politics or another. I don't care,
Mhm.
whatever. How convenient that during a certain, presidency, they said, "Hey, we're getting really close. We're getting really close. Like this is any time."
Mm-hmm.
And then we get this special beer flavor
Uh-huh.
sickness. I don't know.
Yeah.
We get that happens and the
Mhm.
time goes down, right? And just
Who knows? I don't know.
I'm not
Like,
saying it's
So in 2020, it got worse. It
yes.
didn't.
That's what I'm saying. It goes down. The time goes down. Not,
Oh, okay.
We
Yeah.
would get more time by it going up.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be better up. We're losing
Yes.
time.
But it's
Yes, it's just
So where are we at? Where are we standing at this very
100
moment?
seconds to midnight. Midnight is the end of the world.
you have a minute and 40 seconds.
Yep. So
Hmm.
it's fluctuated throughout the years. Like in 1947, for instance, it was 7 minutes to midnight. In 1949, when the Soviet Union tested its first atomic bomb, RDS-1, it was 3 minutes to midnight. We got all the way up to 12 in 1972, 12 minutes to midnight. And then
70s were
14 in
good times.
95.
Hmm.
And so we've been downward trending since 1991 when it was 17. We've been downward trending, and now we're at a minute and what would that be? A minute and 2/3? Yeah, 100 seconds.
Dang.
I don't know. I don't know. Man, there's something crazy have to go on for nuclear.
Well, there's plenty
we would
plenty of
almost
crazy people holding nukes right now.
well we
you
would
got-
almost certainly have to be surrounded. Hypothetically, it's Putin, right? We'd have to be surrounded him. He knows he's done. He's about to die. Let's take the world out with me.
I don't even think Putin's crazy enough to do it.
I think that would be the only way he would actually do it. He might threaten it, but you gotta puff your chest and don't play with me. That. I mean,
You
I
don't.
mean, he's-
What about Un? Do you not think Un's crazy enough to do
He's crazy enough to do it.
I don't think. Well, Kimmy is, but I don't know he's
He doesn't have the resources to launch a
No.
large scale nuclear war. A
he's still
local-
talking about
Yeah.
it's 2022, and was it 2011 or 2017 that he finally they had a intercontinental
ballistic
missile.
missile.
Yeah, they
Mhm.
finally just he's still talking about that, and it's 2022.
Yeah.
No one cares about him. So
He
he's just
almost
like,
died like last year too.
he got COVID.
Yeah.
That's still my favorite thing is when he was like, "Well, we'll eradicate COVID in our country, and we'll kill you if you're positive."
And then he was positive.
Yeah. Queen's currently positive.
Yeah.
What's China like in terms of nuclear power?
I think that a lot of the geopolitics with China is very confusing. Anytime I try to research China, China is not going to do anything that's going to put themselves in danger.
And they're not going to accurately report what they have.
Exactly. Now, I want to take this back a little bit. Now that we've talked about China, and now that we've mentioned that, there was something that it reminds me of that I was thinking about earlier. Do you guys remember when COVID first started? And
Yep.
it was coming out of China. You know, it was
Ruined
coming
my
out of
favorite birthday.
It comes from China, and it was coming out of China, and I was sending you guys videos that was
Hold on,
coming
hold on,
out
hold
of
on.
China at the time.
And do you remember me telling you I thought it was the end of the world?
I remember that.
The
Yeah.
first cases were reported in China.
Yeah. And
The first
he
cases were reported. in
Christian
China.
Christian was sending videos. In fact,
That's what we talked. Did we talk
here's-
about that?
I remember it was the night I did the one chip challenge. I got home and I sat over here on my couch, and you had sent me, or in our group chat, you had sent the first reportings of COVID-19. No, it wasn't even COVID-19 then. It was just a
It was
deadly.
Wuhan virus.
It was
what they were
the,
calling
yeah,
it.
it was the because it was like heat maps of China and stuff, and how
Yeah.
they were like mass burning bodies.
And
Yes.
I
Or then
told,
how they had they had
Welding
video.
people in their houses.
Well, they had video of people just dropping dead on the street.
Yeah.
Like, this virus is crazy, and
So I'm like, zombie apocalypse. Here we go. Okay.
that's what we thought.
Yeah. I mean, we literally had this conversation. Like, is this
we did.
going to be?
Is this
because
it?
There was a point that the Chinese government was literally like they would find whole houses that most people were positive. They were welding the doors and the windows shut and shoving food inside there for them. Now, this is probably going to get us all kinds of demonetized and banned. So please like and subscribe because we're about to get hit the shit fan for this. But
follow Tyler's OnlyFans.
that is
It's a
making a
good
little
one.
bit of money nowadays.
It
So-
is.
It's here.
It is.
It's onlyfans.com/small feet.
Actually, it's one small, one big foot. Yeah. Yeah.
Fair enough. But I mean, they were literally like welding people in their houses.
And then they were
And-
walking streets, spraying it down.
Yep.
So why? So if let's back up here. If that was happening in China, then what really happened here? Because if that's what they had going on in China,
No,
and
here,
that was
so-
legit,
Do you remember what was going on around that time?
The Epstein trials.
Nope. So there was this big revelation or revolution. That's the word. Revolution going on in China,
There was in Hong Kong, the Hong Kong freedom fighting.
and they were getting ground. They were catching.
Mhm.
They were getting traction. They were making
Yep.
movement. And then there was a virus, and it was gone. It's
Yep.
done. It's game over. You don't hear nothing about it. No one talks about it. These people almost like Hong Kong almost had their actual freedom. Done. And they completely grabbed them by the neck, and now they're in control. Oh my gosh, they're in control again.
Yep.
No questions asked.
well, here's the thing. So we know obviously COVID is mutating and changing, and hopefully it's declining because I had what I guessing was Omicron a month ago, and it was just like a really bad cold.
Mhm.
19 kicked my ass back in 2020.
Yeah.
So, I mean, being able to compare the two, I know that one was really bad and one's not. Delta was really bad. But here's the thing, what if It is man-made. It was man-made in China, and they were using it
Sorry.
for bioterrorism to.
Theoretically, or hypothetically.
Hypothetically.
Hypothetically, this.
I said, what if?
I said,
That's-
we just we have to verify
Yeah.
because
I'm a what if scenario right now.
Hypothetically,
What-
every 3 words.
What if
Hypothetically.
it was made in
hypothetically in China.
China? If it was made in China to wipe out what you all were saying about this, and then somehow it mutated rapidly,
Mhm.
and that is how we ended up with the 19 variant. That was not. I mean, I'm not saying 19 was not deadly because I know people personally that died from it.
I think 19 is the original variant, right?
But
Like,
you
it
were
was
saying people were dropping dead in the street.
propaganda.
Propaganda, he says. Propaganda.
Propaganda.
Papa. Oh, Papa.
Listen. So that's what I'm saying. Is like they use this to be like, oh, let's get these people indoors. You need to get out. You need to stop what you're doing. And then it got loose from their country. It ended up in Washington, and some people were getting sick. Some people were dying. Some people weren't. People are different. But
Yeah.
nowhere else was there people just dropping dead on the street left and right. Like
That's
there's
what
no-
that's
Yeah.
why I was saying maybe it mutated. But I
I
mean,
don't I because it takes a while for it to mutate, right? Like it ain't just
Well, I think as a virus mutates, so it usually like
because at
dissipates.
the
it
very beginning,
adapts.
well,
It
at the
adapts and
very beginning, they were
dissipates.
saying how like it is so well created that it's not mutating very much. Like
Mhm.
it's not. It's when it mutates, it's just very little bit, and it's not really mutating at all. That's
Right.
why they were saying like the COVID shot, the vaccine, the shot was it would be effective because there's not going to be much mutation.
Right.
And-
So the goal of a virus as a whole would be to attach itself to a host and then exist within that host. It killing the host would not be part of its goal. Okay. So whenever you start talking about like biochemical warfare and you start talking about, like creating, how we used not we, but how Europeans use smallpox as a bioweapon against Native Americans, whenever you get into that stuff, you start talking about if you're at the concentrate point, it's always strongest. But as it spreads out, it starts to get a little bit weaker. You start to get a little bit away from that concentration point. It starts to mutate, it starts to change, it starts to adapt. And it would adapt. This might be touchy, but it would adapt to be a little bit weaker because it would want to survive, right?
The trend on most, and I'm not a virologist.
Yeah, I'm not an epidemiologist.
But most of them are. They typically like we have the flu, right? I'm sure when the flu first come around, the flu still kills people. It's
Yeah,
still
the Spanish
deadly.
flu destroyed.
What is it like 40-something thousand people a year?
Yeah. I
Uh,
mean, so even now in 2022, it's still killing people.
Mhm.
But most of the time, you don't feel good for a couple days, and then you're gone. And good. I think usually the goal of a virus is to replicate, not kill. I mean, that's like so we can go back to an apocalypse, right? Just to get this a little less touchy, like a zombie apocalypse, right?
Mhm. Oh god, I love this topic.
The virus usually doesn't kill them,
Right.
right? I guess depending on which like what your source material is. But like is The Walking Dead, everyone was infected? Right?
Everyone was infected.
You had to die before the virus was able to do anything to you.
Or you were bitten, and then
Yeah.
the bite inflicted a fever, which
So
in
it-
turn killed you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I mean, you still had to. You had to die.
Yeah.
The underlying thing for that was you had to die for the virus to do anything. The virus was replicating. The virus was spreading. And no one knew it.
But then you've got something like Resident Evil, where the virus is what you don't. I mean, you're not. You don't die. You get the virus and you become a zombie.
That's
Right.
like, is that what is it? There's something you I don't know. I guess
You
it
lose your
would
train of thought?
it would be getting bit would give you this amount of time until you got sick and turned. Or if you were
like World War Z kind of stuff.
if you were
See, I viewed World War Z more like rabies than I viewed it as like a zombie virus.
I completely agree. Yeah.
it's like
28 days
and-
later, kind of the same
yeah,
way.
that's like the rage virus or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, I really think that if we ever had a quote unquote zombie apocalypse, that it would be a somewhat rabies like I don't foresee people rising from the dead. I think that's not plausible.
We already see,
But
we
I-
already see like a typical zombie with people on like bath salts and stuff like that.
Well, we've talked
Yeah.
about this before. Yeah,
We have.
It's crazy.
But that's still not a virus. So that's them injecting themselves with something synthetic. I'm
But
talking about an actual. I'm talking about something along the lines of rabies, and I mean rabies mutating and becoming something that can be transmuted really quickly and rapidly through humans, and I mean that to me, because then at that point you have people that they're not dead, they are alive, but they have lost their mind. They've completely lost every bit of their what makes them human, and then they go on a rampage. They're fast. They're able to, I mean, they're agile.
Right.
Even people that are my size and out of shape would be able to function normal because they're
because your
not.
mind wouldn't be telling you you're tired.
Exactly. And I mean, bullets aren't going to stop them easily because I mean, it's the same scenario as bath salts. I'm not saying that bath salts couldn't theoretically cause, but that's going to wear off. Where in something like rabies, if you're infected by it, you're going to more than likely until a cure's found, you're
So that's
done.
like
Herpes is forever.
exactly. So that's like just go ahead. CWD, right? Chronic wasting disease.
Yeah, chronic wasting
That-
disease.
I mean, they
Prime example.
essentially turn into a
Yes.
zombie. I mean, there's a walking corpse. They don't know what's going on.
If you don't know what
and then-
chronic wasting disease is, that's something that affects the deer population very frequently. It's whenever parasites take over the host of the body, and essentially the meat will literally start falling off the bone.
they get like these warts and they become a lot like you're like a Left 4 Dead style of zombie would be.
It's like
be slowly
leprosy.
warded.
For deer.
Yes. And then there's like there's a insect or parasite that takes over like ants,
Yes.
and it causes them to go up and sit, and then it grows out of its head, or it wants to be eaten by like a rabbit. And I think it can actually take over something as big as a rabbit.
I know what you're
Quote me
referring
on
to.
that.
I actually read about that this week when we were talking about this.
I actually think we discussed this back in the day, in
yeah.
our zombie episode that
in
we
a
did.
previous season.
Yeah, and so when you talk about zombies, and you're talking to a dude that's been obsessed with zombies for a long time, like yes, it would be quote unquote cool to shoot zombies, and but
I'd die. No time.
I would
100%.
die. I'd be dead immediately. Like it ain't gonna be fun. Like
He's patient zero.
if I see my wife
Definitely.
and she is attacking me, like I'm not gonna want to attack her back. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be one of those things that not only is it a mind f, but you're gonna. It's the whole scenario is just one of those things. Like it's so disturbing. It's just disturbing because seeing your friends and your family out of their minds and killing and attacking people and I mean eating them or ripping them apart, like that to me is horrifying.
Right.
And I would
See-
I'd probably shoot myself in the head immediately. Like I'd be like, I'm done. I'm out.
I
Like-
think the zombie fantasy would be a lot better if you had no attachments.
Right.
Like
Had
if
no
you-
kids.
Yeah, you had no
Yeah.
kids.
If
like,
you're a
no-
Lone Ranger type, you were a nomad, lived out on the, by yourself. Yeah.
if you were, if you listened to the Rabbit Hole podcast, if you would, it would be so, it'd be a fantasy. Like you just get to do whatever you want, like no attachments whatsoever. I don't know
So
that I could do that now. That's like, what's that show? What was the zombie baby?
Z Nation.
Yeah,
Z Nation. Yeah.
I couldn't.
I love that movie. I love that show. That's so funny.
Like.
There's also a zombie baby in the Dawn of the Dead
Dawn of the
remake.
Dead, yeah.
But
Yeah,
and then there's also like with you having family and stuff like that. I've seen like some theories where they think that maybe like the Walking Dead zombies they keep some of their memories. They retain memories.
Like they stay as
Well,
a tribe or something.
So if
I
we
haven't
want to
finished it.
get on that tangent, like in the comic,
Actually,
yeah. So in the comic, that was never a thing. In season 1 of The Walking Dead, they were gonna change it up and keep it and have it a little bit off the main story, the source material, and keep it to where some zombies could retain their memories. And you also see it in some of George Romero's stuff.
Mhm,
Like
yep.
he has
Recognition.
Bub. Like yeah, and there's certain zombies in different movies of his that can talk.
Mhm.
They can use items and to me, like that would be something that is realistic because we have there are people that are stronger brain-wise, willpower than others that to me would be able to fight off the infection or fight off whatever it is and maybe be able to. Now are they humans still? No, because but they may still have the same, because a lot of it's kind of like repetition, like
Right.
it's
Muscle
something
memory.
that they're used to doing regularly that they could
Yeah.
and I don't know, the zombie apocalypse scenario, like yeah, it's cool, but in terms of realism, I think it's definitely the lowest on the
I was literally typing the same thing. CJ just sent in the chat that CJ would be definitely muscle memorying something as a zombie.
But
that's combing my hair.
I mean, there are definitely more likely scenarios for me that would be more realistic, that would cause a post-apocalyptic situation.
Let me look at something real quick. CJ, sidebar for a second. I've got one thing that I've been wanting to get out for a couple minutes. So we have now in modern times tracked the spread of a virus from origin to worldwide epidemic. Okay. So with that being said, who's to say that that wasn't a test run?
Very easily could have.
What if we? My mind goes to, if a zombie apocalypse happens, it's something that's going to escape a lab. It's not something that's going to naturally occur. It's something that's going to be created and then spread. So my mind goes to what if? All of this modern pretense of epidemiology is leading us towards that.
Well, FEMA has an action plan.
They do. You are correct. They do.
I think I remember that actually. Yeah, I remember.
FEMA has an action plan.
They've got a plan for this is what's going to happen. This is your survival.
Now, on the other side of that, so was that what you were trying to get out a second ago, CJ? Was the action plan?
No, I was going to talk about other apocalyptic things.
Oh, okay. Well, let me round off zombies real quick. I find it very interesting that we're talking about zombies in 2022, right? And we're talking about zombies, and we think about it, and we think, okay, this is something that's like started maybe Frankenstein, Romero, kind of. You get your that's where you think about it happening.
Night of the Living Dead.
Night of the Living Dead.
1960, whatever year that was.
That's like the first big pump for it, but also
Nazi zombies.
Nazi zombies. They were
Experimenting.
experimenting,
Yeah.
but this is not something that's a recent thing for us. I mean, if you go back in mythology, if you go back in time, I mean, this predates written history. I shared something on our Facebook page this week that I read, going over the Epic of Gilgamesh. That's one of the first written history, first written accounts of the world. And it's
Yep.
and it's obviously supposed to be a story or an epic, right? But in the story, or in the Epic of Gilgamesh, Ishtar, she's a god, and now I believe that goes into Zoroastrianism, is who that would have, what religion that would have fell under, but said, "I will knock down the gates of the netherworld. I will let the dead go up and eat upon the living." That was written in 2100 BCE.
Yep.
So that's
Well,
4,000 years.
even the Bible, I mean, if we want to get into that, has a passage that says, "And the dead shall rise." Now, you can take that in multiple.
Lazarus.
Yeah, I mean, you can take that however
technically,
you.
If you want to be technical, I mean, Jesus is a zombie.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I see where you're going with it.
By
he was
definition,
He was probably
died.
he was probably pretty rank after those 3 days being locked underground.
I would think so. But I mean,
Yeah.
but this leads me back to think about the same concept that in our earlier seasons I could not get my mind around. The fact that every single civilization has the same type of origin background story. Because whenever I started looking at like apocalypse, zombies, other kind of apocalypses, things like that, I went down this rabbit hole on zombies. And I started talking about like Nordic zombies, like the Dragor. I started talking about like Mesoamerican zombies, or started talking about Wendigos. Started talking about like all these different situations where you have things passing away, then coming back. And that leads, well, that leads me to some point to, I think that all of that stems from somewhere. It stems from something, right? So I wonder if there wasn't a point where that was a serious fear that humans had to worry about.
Could have been.
Reanimation.
But
Yeah.
the only thing I carry off that is like with the Wendigo. I don't know if that would that be considered, because I think Wendigo is like it's the Native American. If you
there's two separate trees of Wendigos. One tree is that they're a cannibal, and the cannibalism turns them into that. The other tree is that the Wendigo eats you, and then you become that after you die. So there's two separate trees. There's like I think it's the Navajo tree, and then the Mohican tree is how it's referred to. But I mean, either way, it sounds pretty cannibalistic and death-like to me. But I mean, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's so much variety there but then it all has the same origin point. And I
people eating people.
I wonder if, well,
but I mean, so
that's something that we definitely would have had to worry about at some point in time.
Yeah,
eating one another.
We know cannibalism is already a real thing.
Yeah,
like I mean,
it happened in what was that in Republic that dude got?
Yeah, he was eating the sandwich.
Yeah. He was eating someone when the FBI came in and arrested him. Yeah.
Yep.
A sandwich, a human sandwich.
Ugh. It's freaking disturbing. But like I get it, and I think that it is fascinating because like with it being so prominent and like that far back, but
right. And that far back and so spread out that far back.
But how did it stop? Why is it not still a thing? Like that's the thing that I don't understand. But that I don't understand. And I mean,
maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's not.
When do we get to the point where it was just a
fairy tale,
scary bedtime story? Because I mean, humans are still humans. They were humans then. We're humans now. We still had imagination. Mm-hmm. We still were able to make crap up. Yeah. And I mean, whenever you have people communicating with other people, stories are going to travel across the world. I mean, that's the way it's been. And I don't know, like Sure. If the zombie apocalypse happens, awesome. If not, then
Awesome.
I mean,
Yeah, preferable.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
if
But I-
if it's me and I'm like, okay, listen, I have to pick an apocalyptic situation, EMP is 100% the way I'm going every time. EMP. Honestly, I think I'd be a pretty good Amish person. I think I'd be okay with, like there was like a whole like 3 month period where I went to a flip phone, like out of just pure me wanting to go to a flip phone. Like
so you can, for me, a way to view the apocalypse is somewhat of a reset button. Mother Nature, whether it's Mother Nature that takes us out or our stupid dumbass selves that takes ourselves out. Like it's a reset button to start over. And at some point, and I think that it's happened before in
It has.
civilization,
it
like
has.
at some point something's got to give. Like when does the final straw break the camel's back? You know what I mean? Like when does that actually happen? And I feel like over the last 10 years we are getting closer and closer to something big happening.
Well,
Now,
if you go like the climate route, right? They say, I think it's 2035 is if we don't do something, that's
Yeah.
it. Like that's the peak. We have until then to stop what we're doing, or we're gonna
so
die.
are they saying like ozone layer being
So
gone?
currently,
Are they
no,
saying
they're kind of like
glacial flooding?
yes.
Like
So I was reading a thing the other day, and it was like the permafrost is melting currently,
Yeah.
and they're like, well, it's not really permafrost if it's melting, then, right? So they're like, that's never happened before, right?
So
It's literally,
permathaw.
yeah, it's kind of frosty now. Um, it was thought to be a permanent layer, and
Right.
now it's melting.
see and just for instance in we're right here in southern Missouri where we live. It's February.
Mhm.
And I don't know if climate change is real. I don't like that. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I don't. But just from what I have seen over the course of the last 15 years of my life,
Mhm.
we used to have winter. Like we would have snows, we would miss school, we'd get deep snows. Now we have 70-degree weather in the middle of February.
But I also
And
don't know
With
if
two
that's
big
like,
snows mixed in.
and we had exactly
but it could be
within days of each other.
it could be maybe then it was a lot more catastrophic, like it impacted you a lot more because you didn't go to school, like it was, whatever, any little snow.
Psychologically, it impacted you more.
Yeah,
But
or maybe
70
now, but
70-degree weather in February.
it's, you hear everyone say like, oh, Missouri, we got tornadoes. Start off the morning and it's hot, then it starts raining, and then it's snowing, and then it's iced over, and there's a tornado later this evening, and oh, now there's a hurricane.
And
Where did that
maybe
come
it's
from?
always maybe you're right. Maybe it's always been this way. But
I
I mean, I don't know. Like
and I feel like
I
we definitely have like a cycle of mild, crap, mild, crap. Like we had this ice storm, which it wasn't anything crazy,
Right.
but
which the last major one was 09. So I mean, what is
Yeah.
that, 10 to 13 years?
Yeah.
So, but it's if global warming, if climate change is a thing, then and the earth does flood, then excuse me, and if the earth does flood and that's how we all go, then I mean, how do we as humans survive that? Like I don't know if that's possible other than living in high elevation. And
So no, there are actually there's some there's a I don't want to say species. There's a like colony civilization of human
I hear you're
beings
talking about. Yep.
that they are adapting, and even the individuals in their tribe that have never been in the water they have enhanced lung capacities.
Mhm.
They
In the Pacific
Oh,
Islands.
Aquaman.
Kind of.
Well, similar. Like their body is able to it is more effectively able to deliver oxygen to their heart, the brain, all that.
Mhm.
Even individuals, so it's not like a trained, like they didn't learn to do it. They didn't develop this by going into the water and holding their breath.
Their body's mutating.
Their body has adapted. They have evolved a little to be able to hold to regularly just
You're
be
pulling
able
out
to,
the E word.
they have been able to hold their breath for 11 minutes easy to go, and most of them typically live in the water.
So I'm actually looking that up right now because I know who you're talking about. I actually watched a whole like 3-hour long documentary on them one time. It's a Peloponnesian tribe that lives somewhere near Tahiti, somewhere in that Pacific area, and it's insane because the other thing about those people is that the same group that's like has blonde hair, but they're like dark complected, and
I don't know.
they
I
have
don't
like
know
a
about them.
they have like a weird DNA compound as well too. But I mean, we're gonna adapt. You ever seen Waterworld? Kevin Costner.
That's
got
what I
gills.
was. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was about to bring
I'd
up a
say,
second ago. Like,
I mean, we would, we'd have like the mass extinction, and they would be the subset where we would branch off from.
Mhm.
Right? But we're gonna have one civilization somewhere that is adapted to something specific, and if something happened, they would be more inclined, right? So you'd think like I would assume like Russians, right? If it got super freaking cold, they're
Right.
adapted to incredibly like stupid cold temperatures. So they would
Siberians, the Sami. Yeah.
they would be more inclined to survive that stuff.
Yep.
We're somewhere in the middle. I mean, that's the thing. That's the cool thing about like humans is we're able to survive anything. Like we can adapt to literally anything. We live all over the world, all over. Like if you live in a sunny environment, you'll get more melatonin in your skin.
Mhm.
You live in a more northern, not so much sunlight, you become pasty white like I.
Right.
You just we're incredibly durable. We're actually, I want to say, I've read somewhere that we're meant to like we can't run faster than a horse, but we can run for a longer duration than a horse
Mhm.
could.
Well, I mean, that's how the Anunnaki made us, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're essentially we're made to be like runners.
Workhorses.
Like we're made to distance run.
Mhm.
I'm not, but
Ooh,
me neither.
Made a distance run in a truck. That's about it. Distance
Yeah.
run on a Harley.
yeah, I mean,
But I don't know. Like, I mean, I can see there being a subset of people that actually can adapt and eventually evolve, but my thing is if the entire world is flooded, how, other than, I mean, I guess having a boat that you can live on, I mean,
Yeah.
Build a raft and live on it together.
Build a raft. Start fishing. Boil the water.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's plausible. Like but here's another thing. We go from water. Well, what about fire? Because we've got super volcanoes all the way around the world.
You bring fire,
that
I'm dead.
I mean,
well, the volcano would cause
winter.
A nuclear winter, essentially. Yes,
Yeah,
it'd
it
block
would.
out the sun.
Yeah. So I mean, we'd go to cold at that point.
Well, it'd be really hot,
for a minute,
then really cold. Yeah.
Because they've always
Well,
said
it'd
that Yellowstone is past or is overdue for an eruption, and they said that it wouldn't, like where we live, we wouldn't be really affected by magma but we would be. I mean, ash cover and that would be what would cause.
I think I read something one time that said that the Ozarks will be covered in roughly 5 to 6 inches of ash.
And that's because now I may be pulling this out of my hind end, but I'm pretty sure when Mount St. Helens erupted, when Mount St. Helens erupted, Google how far the ash traveled from the Mount St. Helens eruption.
Ash
Because-
spread Mount St. Helens. How far did ash travel from Mount St. Helens? Let's see here. This occurred in 1980, the Mount St. Helens eruption.
I just think
The ash cloud has spread to central United States.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
So in one day. So by the 19th, it occurred on May 18th. By the 19th, the ash cloud had already spread to the central United States.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought. Like, because as a kid, I was obsessed with volcanoes, and I remember
that. Like, weirdly remember that.
Well, do you not remember when we went and saw Mount St. Helens? How like excited I was! Like it was.
Yeah, CJ, I bring this guy there, and he's like having a nerdgasm the whole time we're there.
Well, dude, it was freaking. It was.
It was great. It was
epic.
Awesome. It was so fun. And I was drifting around the whole thing.
The donuts we did in the parking lot.
There was nobody there. It was great. Like
it was.
I'm driving 100 miles an hour, just rip the e-brake, see what happens. We're cool. Yeah. We got it.
But
good.
So if one normal sized volcano can cover that much radius with ash, then think about something the size of a super volcano that is miles and miles. The caldera is miles and miles in diameter. Excuse me.
This map I found says we get about if Yellowstone erupted, we would get 3 to 10 inches of ash.
Yep. I'm. What side are you on?
Yahoo.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I'm reading the same thing on the USGS, the U.S. Geological Service website right now.
Well, how many super volcanoes are there in the world?
Oof. I mean,
is that what it says?
I don't know.
Google that. 6. It's worth a Google.
Because I mean, think about it. What if one goes and then it starts a chain reaction?
There are 20 super volcanoes.
So think about a chain reaction of volcanic eruptions around the world. So you have say the epicenter is Yellowstone, and then you have every volcano in the west. You have the Ring of Fire. You have everything in the all the way around the world. What if it starts a chain reaction of just volcanic eruptions and earthquakes? And
suddenly that's not my problem anymore.
think about that in terms of an apocalyptic situation, because I mean we've talked about nuclear, but when you have natural disaster that is destroying the entire world, what do you do? There's nothing you can do.
No, you just, like I said, it's
not because that's going to affect which nuclear would affect animals as well. But I mean, that's going to kill animals. That's going to kill everything, because when you got ashfall flowing, that's going to cause people not being able to breathe. One. Yeah. Also, volcanoes release is it carbon monoxide? What?
Yes.
Yeah. So that you've got that. Then you also have lava flow, which is to me the scariest. I've always been horrified of lava.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you have the earthquakes and aftershocks from that. And if you're having earthquakes that are destroying all of the buildings around you, people being crushed, the earth is opening up. See, that's the thing. Like, if I have always felt like if Yellowstone goes, they all go at the same time, and maybe not. Right. Maybe it's
the force will be so powerful that it would.
Because remember Krakatoa? Was it Krakatoa that
just reading about
you
Krakatoa.
heard that the explosion like miles and miles and miles away? They heard it and could see it, and I mean the force of a volcanic eruption is huge. So and that's just a normal volcano.
So in 1883, when Krakatoa erupted, it was heard over 3,000 miles away.
I knew it was. It was. So think about that. And Krakatoa is just a normal volcano.
Yeah.
So think about a super volcano erupting. You would be able to probably hear it and feel it around the entire world.
I would think so.
I don't see how you couldn't.
So the Tonga That
Yeah, the
erupted.
Tongan earthquake.
That was visible from space.
Which
You're
one
right.
was this?
Tonga, it's an undersea volcano.
Hmm,
It
I don't
released
guess
up
I've ever heard
to
of that.
18 megatons of energy. It happened in like January.
Mhm.
But it was
18 megatons.
of energy. Yeah, it was visible. So they have satellite video of it erupting. You can see it launching out of the ocean.
And see, that's the other thing. Like, there are so many underwater volcanoes that, I mean, if it was a chain reaction, I mean, it would just literally destroy everything in the world. Like, I'm not saying a chain reaction is going to happen,
Right.
but just say 3 super volcanoes go off.
That's
at
the end of the
once.
world.
It's the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's the end of the world. Like, we go back into an ice age.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, the cloud cover will be everywhere. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it will be, and I mean, to me, that's also a very scary one, is because
There's no control there. It's not
there's
like you can go
none.
shoot some Russian dude in the head and keep him from launching a nuke.
And there's nowhere you can go either. Like,
You
there's
just-
nowhere you can go
Put a lid on it.
because you
like a
can't go
candle.
underground, you can't go above ground. I mean, the only way to get away from that is to leave the planet.
And even when that's feasible, even when it's feasible to evacuate the planet, it's not feasible to evacuate the whole planet.
No, I mean, you're gonna evacuate the rich, because the rich are gonna be the only people that are gonna be able to afford to evacuate to space.
Yeah.
Right now. Now I'm talking about now, maybe 500 years from now.
Well, I mean,
100
I think
years from
even
now.
500 years from now. I mean, if we kept with a poppy, oh my god.
Well, no, so we're not going to
we'd be in
evacuate
the
everybody,
trillions by
but
then.
within the next 15, 13 years, they believe that space
Tourism?
tourism
Mm.
will be it sounded like
But now, CJ, are we talking space tourism like we're going to be William Shatner and barely go up
we're
into
going to
the
be in
atmosphere?
space.
Like,
We're going to be Blue Falcon.
or are they going to shoot us up in giant
be a Blue
dicks
Falcon?
into the
Yeah, Blue
sky,
Falcon.
and we're going to be in space
100%
for
you're gonna
19
do-
seconds and be back to Earth in a
Yes.
minute? Like,
That's going to be the space tourism.
so
I can't say
that's
that word.
I'm talking like we
What I'm saying,
only-
within like the next 13 years, that becomes the feasible thing. We're able to commercially get people up to that point,
and that's awesome. Like,
and then
I mean, if that ever does happen, that's really cool. But like, to get away from any kind of natural disaster that is that's worldwide. Oh my God, Christian just got killed by a Mandalorian.
Sorry, we started talking about the stars, and it just came out.
This is the way.
This is the way.
But so when we're talking about natural disaster, to me, the best way to get away from natural disaster is to leave the planet and evacuate and start over somewhere else. But see, that's the thing. Like, we are nowhere near being ready to evacuate Earth.
No,
And that's the thing.
we might even not as a whole, no, but maybe the elite. I mean, like we've talked.
Where are they going to
before.
go, though, man? Where are they going to go and live?
That's
what's the sustainability of that?
Yeah,
I
there's
don't know.
none right now. I
There
mean,
well,
you've
you
got your
think-
people
you
up
ever
in the
watched,
space station.
Yeah, so have you ever watched there's a show called The 100?
Well,
No.
yeah, I've watched every bit of it except for that horrible final season that I'll never
I-
finish.
I never finished that season.
That was
But
pretty- that was
they
pretty
go
good.
into space and then they send these people down, the 100 down to see if Earth is inhabitable, right? So they had a disaster. They went up and hung out there for a little while. I don't know how they'll
100
do it.
years.
Yeah. And then they come back down to see if it was habitable again. And we've said in, I think it was the last episode, where like the government is roughly 10 15 years ahead of us technologically than like your consumer
I
products.
don't think as far as space travel goes, though.
I would be surprised that aliens.
Well, I will say, like, if anyone is prepared and ready, it's Elon Musk. Like, SpaceX is the future, in my opinion, for space travel. Like,
I
I
agree.
feel like if anyone's gonna get us there, it's gonna be them.
I agree.
And I mean, did we not see that wild shit in the sky a few months ago or a month ago? Like, people can say that was a rocket and like, sure, whatever, but that's some wild crap, whatever they've got going on right there. And I mean, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see maybe they are close. Maybe in 10 years from now, we're going to find out that space travel and hyperspeed is a real thing. But that is our only hope whenever it comes to 2012 or a day after tomorrow style situation where the world is being destroyed by some sort of natural disaster, whether that be a gigantic hurricane, a gigantic blizzard, a volcanic eruption, mass earthquakes around the entire world. You know, there's so many tsunamis. I mean, there's so many different scenarios that when we talk about Mother Nature and the destruction that it can cause, like, it's almost unfathomable, like, to think about what it can do.
Well, CJ has floated the idea before that, like the 2012 Mayan apocalypse really did happen.
That too,
And
but I was
that
also looking it up too because I've heard a thing where it was like the calendar was off if you do like we have these leap years and you have time bleeding because we're constantly losing time.
I figured you were digging into that.
So it ended up being like I don't know. It just says according to the Mayan calendar, 2022, it will cause great disaster for Bitcoin.
ooh,
It was written in the Mayan calendar. By 2022, the value of Bitcoin will fall below $1,000.
oh, the Mayan calendar predicted
Yeah,
that.
so
Yes,
that's what I've dug. That's what I found.
Sell now.
But
but I mean, the whole 20, and maybe, you know, I've heard, yeah, that we're actually living in our own hell right now. Like this 2012 was the end of the world, and that
see, this one
the end of
says
the world is what we're living in.
that the long count Mayan calendar ends in 2022 on December 21st to be exact.
Well, what
I
was the
thought that
day
was
on?
yeah, I thought that was it was December 21st in 2012 because I thoroughly remember that day because I was playing Assassin's Creed 3 when the end of the world happened on the day that it was supposed to happen for us and it didn't happen.
Yeah,
Listen,
don't
I'll
know.
tell you, we can't be living in our own hell right now because have you seen any of the Star Wars live action that's came out so far this year? I mean, this isn't hell. This is heaven. Okay. So just to be completely honest. Now,
Yeah.
going from there, hell, you might be right, CJ. We might all die here at the end of the year.
I hope not.
Now, a couple things. In the meantime, have been prepping pretty hardcore here lately. Been prepping pretty hardcore since roughly 2012. But it's gonna. I think we need to move into a rabbit hole vestment. Me and CJ have been talking about a land purchase jointly. We need to have like a rabbit hole fallout location. Just saying.
All the fans come join us for the end of the world. We'll all get naked and dance around a fire together.
No, you have to buy
Is that-
tickets though.
That's just that's a normal Friday night though.
Well, yeah, I
Was it-
mean,
what-
but we've not got to do it with the fans, so
Yeah, this will be the Rabbit Hole Grove.
yeah, yes, yes.
Long legs
We're
to
all,
get on
and
it.
then we're all gonna start chanting witch chants, and we're gonna float into the air together.
Wasn't me the first time I did that either.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm down.
Maybe we can get Ari Aster to come direct it.
We're
Yes,
gonna end up
A24, my friend.
A24.
within the next month or so. Will probably be the podcast is going to be a different thing, and we'll probably be back to exercising Tyler.
No, that ain't
So
gonna happen.
Maybe just me this time.
I'm
I
so
don't know.
strong-willed, it's not gonna happen. But I mean, I think that we've kind of discussed all the likely scenarios for apocalyptic situations.
I agree.
And like, do I think the apocalypse is going to happen? Damn right I do. It's going to happen one day. But do I think that it's going to be the end of humanity? Not necessarily. I think the apocalypse is going to happen for this world to actually be reset and to get back on track.
Well, something I meant to say earlier is an apocalypse usually does happen every 500 years.
Just to say, Mother Nature,
Yeah.
she saves herself, she fixes herself, she resets.
Yeah.
Typically,
And I mean, like, if you go back to the collapses throughout history, from the Bronze Age collapse to the collapse of the Roman Empire to why the hell are you laughing at me?
James,
LeBron
Wait.
James,
the way you said Bronze Age.
Bronze Age, to like the Black Death, plague. Like, it seems to happen every like
100 years?
800 to 900 years.
Oh,
You
wait,
get a
no. Oh, it's every 100 years there's some sort of
pandemic. Yes.
Yeah, but a pandemic ain't gonna wipe. I mean, I'm not saying that it can't, but I mean, look, we just went through one. Look at the influenza 100 years ago. I mean, it didn't end the world. The Black Plague didn't end the world. Lots of people died.
And
And
is still out and about.
To me, your pandemics are your small resets. Like, those are the ones that, yeah, it's killing off people, it's stopping overpopulation, but to me, there's gonna have to be a big one, and I mean one that wipes out the vast majority of the population.
I need one that makes it acceptable for me to wear armor and carry a sword
at
in
all
daily
times.
life. That's
At
what
all
I need.
times.
That's what I'm looking for in life.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I got you. Like, I'm with you, and that and I think it's gonna happen. Like, I mean,
break
I
out
do-
that guy right there.
I'm playing the new game Horizon Forbidden West just came out, and that takes place in a post-apocalyptic world to where basically it's about this terraforming program, and
Mhm.
like an apocalyptic situation happened to where they had a failsafe so that after humanity was gone, like, the world could thrive again. But anyway, I mean, that there's lots of scenarios, and I do think it's going to happen, and I do think that it eventually needs to happen, because especially with the way the world is right now, like, I think that it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
I agree. I agree that we also probably should be winding down. CJ's way past CJ's bedtime. Now there is one thing that I wanted to bring up that has nothing to do with this. If you've made it this far in the podcast this week, if you've listened to shit, I have no idea where we're at. but if
We're
you've
about an
listened-
hour and a half in, I think.
Yeah, if you've gone
at
this
least.
far, I want you to message us. Now I want you to tell us, where should we go to make CJ shit his pants?
You just go to my living room. It happens
What
more often than I like to talk about.
house, what environment? We're gonna get out this year, and we're gonna start doing some stuff, and we're
Yeah.
gonna have fun, and we're gonna say, screw being locked inside the house. We're doing this thing, and we're gonna get out and we're gonna have some fun. But we need advice.
This is kind of how I've viewed what I feel like we should do. Like,
Yep.
Christian, me and you've traveled. I've always recorded the said travels,
Yes.
and we've but we've always been obsessed with this kind of stuff.
Oh, love it.
So if we can combine them and we go out as a group and we hunt for these things. We even
Look for evidence.
even if we never find anything,
Right. I'll have fun.
I'll have fun, and I think that it'll be entertaining for the viewers as well. But the thing is, if you are here at the end of this, we need feedback. And one of my buddies that I work with, he listened to our last podcast, and he had some gripes about it. And I've not actually got to tell you all about this, but I will after the show. But like, I that's what I feel like we need to grow. Like we
Right.
don't come into this with knowledge. We don't come into this with facts.
Mhm.
We come into this as just guys sitting around bullshitting and asking questions, making up scenarios, talking it out, and then looking up facts on the on the computer.
Mhm.
And like, if you're here for, in my opinion, if you're here for facts, then you're on the listening to the wrong podcast,
Right.
because that's not what this is about.
Right.
We're here discussing
Scenarios,
situations,
Opinionated guesses.
monsters, anything like that. It's our thoughts, our ideas.
Yes.
But I do feel like our fan base, because I know people listen. We have people listening.
Oh,
I mean, we may not have a lot of people listening right now, but we do have people listening.
so
we
by
we
my
want
math, we have
feedback.
about 1,000 people listen to last month's episode.
Well, that's good. That's good. But we need more interaction, and I feel like we're starting the Facebook page back up, guys. So we're trying to get that up and going again. I know Christian has been busting his tail more than anybody on that, but I mean, we're wanting to try to make our Facebook and our social media involve the fans as much as us, because we want to build a community around this of people that are interested in the same things that we are.
Yes.
So
Speaking of social media,
I just got that alert too. Did you,
did you
get
too?
that alert?
Oh, it's down. Yeah, the servers are down on it.
what?
So Truth Social.
Donald Trump's social media platform.
Yeah, it's available now. You can't get on it. There's so many people trying to. The servers are down currently. I just speaking of social media,
It literally, it just popped up
Yeah.
on mine too.
I was like, oh wow, but you
Never
can't
even
do
heard of
anything.
it.
Yeah, it's his new freedom platform. Because Twitter and Facebook's censor anyone with a right-leaning viewpoint.
To be completely
Gotcha.
fair, I'm not right leaning. I'm straight up the middle.
Yeah, I don't.
I wanna be able to smoke dope
I-
and have a fully automatic machine gun at the same time.
I'm completely anti-government, so I mean,
That would be the best, really. It would. Why do we need government anymore? We don't need government.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
they don't
Anyway.
have us.
But yeah, if you all are here, we need suggestions. We need feedback. We need people to actually tell us what you want to see,
Yeah.
other than just sitting around talking. I mean, we want to be more active, and we're gonna try to
got some good
be more
plans.
active. We do, for sure. I'm excited about it,
Me too.
and to have that fire burning in me again is awesome. Yeah.
Deep in my loins.
Anyway, that's all
Considering
I've
my
got for
Jimmy's
this week,
ruffled.
guys.
CJ, do you have anything to toss in there?
No, that's it. That's all I got. That's I mean, yeah, I said just to go, I mean, just a caveat off of that is just
As the first sergeant said.
yes, just to piggyback. Is yeah, I just any feedback. Feel free. You message the page. You message, comment on it.
Reach out
anything.
to us individually too. I mean, we all are very active on our own Facebook page.
Yep.
I
So-
mean, we can work with anything. I mean, this is
Yep.
especially now. Like we're definitely more fluid. Like we can go.
We just need to get Tristan back in
Yeah,
here.
this year's gonna be a very rough year for him. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I don't figure he's gonna. I don't figure he'll be in any of the live ones unless maybe we find something more close to him that we can.
You know,
go.
which is not a bad idea. I'll start looking over there in his area for something that we can we can go over there sometime this year
Yeah.
and
Surely
try to
there's something.
explore.
I mean, it's not like we could when he was in Texas, we could have just investigated all those murders.
Could go to Waco.
But like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like I said, we just really do. I mean, our options are endless at this point.
Yeah.
Especially for
Yeah,
turning
I'm
into
excited.
some sort of paranormal hunters.
I love it. I love the whole concept. I love this moving forward. I think it's going to be great. I think you guys are going to really enjoy what we're doing. I think that, I mean, there's literally no roof to what we could do on here. We're not limiting ourselves anymore. You know,
Nope.
next week,
Definitely.
there might be a video next week of us putting up EMF readings in some damn random house in Arkansas somewhere. You never know. That's where we're at now.
I think the soft reboot we've done will allow us to be a little more fluid. You'll definitely get to see our relationship a little different than
Yes.
trying to
Yep.
stay on topic and inform and this and that, where we can just
Try
go
to stay
wherever, we
sober.
can do whatever, we can go out and hang out and like we can just see.
Get scared.
Someone's probably gonna poop my pants.
Oh, I will never think of pooped pants like the time whenever me and Tyler and his wife were back to back at the top of Falling Springs Road, and there was shit flying
On
over my head.
On Halloween night.
On Halloween night, there's shit flying over my head, hitting trees on the other side of the road. Now I'm sitting there going, I'm dead. There's no way
Yeah,
I'm
no,
living
that
out of
was
this.
that was that
I'm
was
gonna die.
easily one of the most scared I've ever been in my life. In my life.
I mean, that we could save that stuff for we could just end. We can have a discussion. I don't want to ruin anything. I don't want to spoil.
Yeah.
All right, guys,
Anyway.
thanks for joining us,
Yeah.
and we will see you on the next one.
Peace.
Goodbye.